Hello, hello, good afternoon. Very warm welcome, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. We are in our fifth session of the day. Fifth session of the week. We are in the fifth session of our week of this solidarity campaign that is brought together by CBD Properties, Esprit, and Profia Property. Together with Firdaus and Associates as well. We have a few people from Firdaus and Associates as well. Okay, so everyone that's in the chat room, let's just get a little bit warmed up. Please say good afternoon in the chat room and put your agency name beside your good afternoon. I see a good afternoon from Nick Sophia, Patrick I. Nice to see you. Anderson, Hannah, thank you. Come, let's keep it interactive. Thank you, thank you. Okay, all the good afternoons are flooding in. Thank you very much. Let's keep this session active. We want it to be interactive. Okay, so for those of you that have not joined in today, of course, we all come together. I share my quote at the very start. Knowledge these days is no longer power. The speed is in sharing our knowledge is where the real power is. And we are thankful enough today. We have a few of our guest panelists that are long-time industry players lah. And we also got a very kind gentleman to moderate our session. So let me just run you all through some house rules. First and foremost, be very careful of Zoom bombing. Try your best not to bomb the chat room with sales of any kind or marketing your listings or putting in any advertisements that is not real estate related. Real estate related as well, no advertisements allowed. Please don't post your listings up. Last few days, we have people posting their listings up. Okay. Secondly, on your mic and webcam, of course, if you have your webcam on, we are more than happy to see you. We can see Irene, we can see Mr. Tay as well. We can see Mr. Teng as well from Esprit, all with their cameras on. We are happy to see your smiles. And mic-wise, please make sure it's muted. Of course, you are allowed to unmute your mic to ask questions. That will be controlled by me, the host. So when there is a question, please do raise your hands with the reaction and we will stop our moderator and we will help ask your questions. Okay? So the last rule is we want this session to be interactive. We want you all to participate and most importantly, gain some knowledge from all our speakers over here lah. Okay, so let's move to the topic of the day. Okay, this is the lineup that we have. Very interesting to put it all together. I'm quite happy to see Mr. James Tan from Rain and Horn, Mr. Aldrin Tan from Esprit Estate. Of course, he's the founder and CEO. There's Dato Adrian Wang from CBD Properties, founder and CEO as well, and Terence, director of Profia Property. All right, so David will be giving a good introduction into all of their profiles, and we have Mr. David Sia Chong. He's a lawyer by profession and previously has worked in Radar and has coupled up many works with developers. Okay, Mr. David, can I please have your mic test? Still muted.
Yeah, Alex. Hello. 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 Hello.
Yeah, David, try again.
Yes, yeah, it's good now. Kai, thank you. Mic test, mic test. Yep, thank you.
All right, all good. David, please take it away.
Okay, thank you, Kai, for introducing me and also inviting me to this session this lovely Sunday afternoon. So before we get started, right, I'll just put some background and context here. So today the topic is certainties within uncertainties of your real estate business. So it's going to be very real estate business focused. And we have, in our lineup here, very esteemed panel members who are very experienced in their respective industry. I'll introduce them one by one. First, we have surveyor James Tan, who's a partner of Rain and Horn, International Zaki and partner Sindran Berhad. And we have Mr. Aldrin Tan, the CEO of Esprit Real Estate. We also have Dr. Adrian Wang, CEO of CBD Properties. And we also have Mr. Terence Yeo, the Director of Profure Property. So I will first introduce Surveyor James Tan as well first. James has more than 3 decades of experience in valuation, and he started his valuation career in Australia. So he has worked for numerous corporate valuation exercises for large enterprises such as YTL and Dijaya, and also for SC submissions as well for them. And he also does valuation all types of properties, including plant and machinery. And he also has conducted numerous market feasibility studies internationally. So I think today we will benefit from a very interesting perspective from him, from his background, right? Further on, we also have, I'll go to the next person, Mr. Aldrin Tan, who's an award winner, Esprit Real Estate Agent. He's the Real Estate Agent of the Year for MIA. I think he won numerous awards. So his background is originally in degree in economics and accounting from the Australian National University, ANU. Right? At this moment, Esprit is one of the largest, fastest growing real estate agency with 10 branches all around in Peninsular Malaysia with more than 600 over agents. So interestingly, Aldrin has gone through a couple of storms. Yeah, the 1997 Asian financial crisis, the 2008 subprime global financial crisis, and also the recent 2020 pandemic. Okay, so next we have Dato' Adrian Wang, the founder and CEO of CBD Properties in Berhad. So Dato' Adrian originally is from Port Dickson, right? He was originally a civil engineer, okay? And he founded CBD Properties in 2007. So he has also won numerous awards from recognized institutions such as MIA in 2015, okay? His vision is to connect the world via real estate partnership and network of associates, okay? And last but not least, we have Mr. Terence Yeo, the Director of Profure Property. Okay, so Terence, right, is an accountant originally, and he has turned a real estate guru. He has extensive experience in a multitude of real estate developers and also various agencies. In the last few years, oversaw more than 200 million worth of real estate transactions. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. That's a snapshot of our panelists for this afternoon. Now, before we start, right, I have some good news as well to announce. Okay. We have some sponsorship of 3 books here. The books is sponsored by Mr. Ho Chin Soon of Ho Chin Soon Research, Kuala Lumpur 2020 and beyond, right? I think we will allow the panelists to choose the winners from your engagement and questions later. You can collect your books from Profure later. So please do ask questions, interesting questions, and as we hope to engage with all of you, okay? So I think that's basically it. Okay, I will continue now with the next part here, which is we shall start the session, okay? Now, at this moment, right, in the midst of all these uncertainties, we are living in MCO 3.0, okay? In the midst of a pandemic, okay? So we want to ask the panelists, okay, we will start in turn, about, what is their overall, basically overall challenges at this moment, right? I will ask the first question first, okay? So, to get everybody's input, okay? So, smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. So, it's about going through challenges, yeah? So, let me start with the first question. Okay, what's the market sentiment like on your end of the perspective? Shall we invite James first? James, would you share a little bit about, from your perspective, the current market snapshot, please?
Okay, thanks for inviting me to come to this forum. Okay, we are facing an unprecedented pandemic that is plaguing not just Malaysia, Southeast Asia, but the world. Okay, so the way I see it is that if I compare with what is actually happening with the 1997 Asian financial crisis, the 2008-2009 dot-com bomb, and the current situation, what we are facing now is that we are facing an issue of, number one, the closure of borders. Okay, from the macro point of view, we have got economy which is suffering. Okay, unemployment is rising, inflation is rising. I just got the latest statistic to say that the inflation rate has gone up for April is 4.7%. So this is something that is going to affecting us. Okay, So on a macro basis, I always look at it when I look at the properties project for the matter. I look at it from a macro point of view. The macro point of view is that it's not a pretty picture. We have got closure of borders, both even as far as district as well as international borders, our national borders. So plus the fact is that we have also a very low interest rate regime. Okay, the current because of the current the low interest rate regime, property prices are holding on, and people are buying property, having opportunity to buy property, and then with the government they having all these incentive to encourage people to buy property to stir up the economy. So we are looking at this sort of scenario, but the thing is that because of the unemployment, because of the many business failures, so this is affecting the market generally. As far as the valuation is concerned, we are also coupled with, we are facing the issue of the overhang issue, the big oversupply issue of literally everything under the sun. If I were to compare this with what happened in 1997, 1998, whereby interest rates were something like hovering about 15, 16%. I still remember those days whereby I was sharing my views and thoughts with the different banks in town, from Hong Kong Bank to Maybank to Public Bank. I mean, to the time was Pacific Bank and so forth. The time the interest rates were very, very, very high. So can you imagine if you buy a property now, you interest rate of 15, 16%, how can you afford the property? So that has really caused a plunge in the property prices. Whereas the scenario that we are facing now is that we are facing an opposite scenario whereby the interest rate is very low. But we are facing the bigger elephant in the room is that we have been we have been building on the super building boom for the past, should I say, almost 10 years, since the market started to pick up in 2009, 10, 11, with all this, that time with the free moving costs and all this sort of thing. Then with the little or no down payment, then plus you throw in a few what you call so-called property gurus that come in and say that you go into compression loan, go to multiple loan thing, go to cashback thing. So this is has actually fueled unnecessary increase overall in the supply of the properties. So this has actually affected the businesses. And then for how it affects on my side is that, of course, the valuation is actually moving down because we see that the prices are actually moving down, and then a lot of the cases are being done by the clients. They prefer to, people in general, they want to buy property with a discount, and then they want to pay a little bit upfront, you see. So this is a scenario that we see, because when I look at the whole situation is that I look at it from a big picture, and then I go into the small picture thing.
Yeah.
The big picture currently is not a pretty picture at the moment.
Okay, thank you, James. May I hold you that on your thought for the moment? We will start with macro first, right, James? We'll come back to you in a little while. But before we go on to the next person, Aldrin, right, I'll just snapshot a little bit, what you mentioned earlier. So in summary, I have a few points here. Closure of borders. Okay, that's one thing we picked up.
Yes.
Low interest rates environment, right? Concerns about unemployment, okay? Also overhang, impacting large supply, impacting valuation, okay? And and then you mentioned something about discounts upfront. Because buyers are looking at discounts upfront. Okay, we'll hold that thought first, right? Okay. And then we'll go on to Aldrin. Aldrin, from CEO, the CEO of Spirit, could you share a little bit about the macro side from your end as well?
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, David. And okay, good afternoon, everyone. And it's good to see the three agencies coming together: Profius, CBD, and Esprit. And so on the macro side, wow, as what James has shared, it seems like very confusing. Am I right? It seems like how we experience MCO3, the government can be a bit confusing. Now that we are deemed non-essential, and the next thing is cigarette is essential, but alcohol is not. So how do we even maneuver through all this? Okay, but okay, to analyze the whole situation, I think property market is always very wide. Okay, from which angle you are looking at. To me, there's actually three parts from my perspective as a business owner of, let's say, an agency. All right. So there's also the other two business owners here as well. So it's also James as well doing a valuation. Then the consumer behavior and also how the economy of the property market is. All right. So breaking into these three parts, I think on the more macro side, I think in terms of running an agency, I think the business model has changed quite dramatically over the years. So, so for business owner, it's more of like how do we overcome and how do we adapt? All right. So leaving that aside, in terms of the property market, I think I concur with what James said. You know, in short, all right, we simplify the whole thing. There has been a situation of overbuilding it, and we can't blame the developers because this is all an economic situation where developers are running a commercial business. Am I right? But then the situation that I feel, all right, personally, the whole market has been skewed based on how the property is being sold, all right, and that actually affect the consumer behavior, especially those who are in the early 20s, all right. These are the people today, when they buy property, they were actually growing up with the fact that, you know, there's a lot of, you know, rebates, 10%, 20%, 30%, all right? So, so in short, at the bottom of what really, as a result of that, is how consumer actually accustomed to what the developer needs to actually come up with a product where you know, they can enter into buying a property a lot easier. All right, and the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. That has actually pushed up the price. All right, other than the demand of the property. Okay, let's not talk about speculation and things like that. So if you ask me, I think part of the thing is property is getting out of reach for average Malaysian. Okay, so and the one that's really ripping off the profit, so to speak, or the capital appreciation are those who have actually invested earlier. So and I think also from the let's say a developer's perspective, coming up with a product that is in tune with what the client wants, all right, what the buyer wants is very important. And I think, and I know this is very difficult because the market now is actually very diversified in terms of areas, in terms of the type of properties. There's so many types of property these days, and also in terms of you know, category of buyers. So so wow, there seems to be so much of challenges, but this is what I always believe, all right. Okay, you know, this is business, this is economy, it's a timing issue. At this moment of time, there will be a lot of challenges, but I strongly believe the market is coming back. It's a matter of when, and hopefully it doesn't take too long.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Aldrin, for the snapshot. Yeah, on that. So I think what we have from you here is that, you know, it's about adaptability, right? Adaptability. You believe that there's some overbuilding, but, you know, skewing it to how the consumer, you know, is looking at the demand, right? So the demand side. And, you know, we feel that the prices at the moment is out of reach, but, you know, it's about generally adapting to consumer behavior. Yeah. So, okay, for all those listeners, everybody tuning in, right? Do you, if you believe that, you know, it's about turning into, you know, how to market it more effectively to certain type of consumers, just press 1. Okay, just press 1 if you agree that, you know, you need to adapt, right, to new changing marketing. Just please press 1 on the chat, and we hope to engage with all of you. Okay, before that, I'll go on to Dr. Adrian, right? Dr. Adrian, macro perspective from your side, please. What are your thoughts?
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, myself also have gone through the 1998 Asian financial crisis, and then 2002 dot-com crisis, 2008 subprime crisis, and the 2018 and government implement all the cooling measure. All this, I think, just now James has gone through. So in business point of view, just like a seawater, it has a high tide and it has a low tide. But now the situation is just like beside low tide and high tide, there is a tornado in front of us. So like we are the captain of the ship. So how to go through this tornado? Should we wait, or should we accelerate, or how to bypass this tornado when it comes to this? So the macro point of view on the property market, I look at it, a lot of the things are man-made. A lot of things are actually, we know it will be happen, but it's still implemented. Partly because of the government policy, like overbuilding, giving a lot of discount, all these things, and even some of the property guru asking people to go for complex loan, all these are man-made. But having said that, when it comes to COVID-19, we can't actually blame anyone. maybe it just have to, for a human, we just have to gone through all these difficulties. I look at it as long as the Malaysia financial institution doesn't break down, property market is still there's a hope. As long as the supplying money and the buyer confidence is still there, I think it's still got hope, and market will come back very soon. Why I say that? Because for the layman, for the businessman and Malaysian, we do have a lot of opportunity to do investment. Not like certain country like Singapore or in Hong Kong, they can choose unit trust, they can choose a share market, or they can invest in bond. There's a lot of instrument for them to hedge the inflation. But in Malaysia, I think we basically only have few things, either FD, fixed deposit, or property market, and the share market. I think the share market is very volatile. A lot of Malaysians being caught in the 1997 financial crisis. A lot of people still got phobia in the share market. So people still choose property as a safest instrument to invest. But the certainty is, because today's topic is a certainty out of uncertainty. The certainty is, if you're buying a land or a property, the certainty is it still belongs to you. The title is still belongs to you. This is quite safe for investment. And then for the as an agent principal of the company, the certainty is we have to stay strong. We have to stay motivated to go through and learn together. That's why we three agencies actually we have come up with one common platform that we want to train every one of us to be well equipped to go through these tornadoes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dato. So very interesting also, I mean, the fact that if you look at the back of all the background, I mean, most of the background here, there's a yet solidarity beyond 2021. So it's a collaboration. So perhaps we will ask them later whether this is a sign of things to come in terms of collaboration between agencies. But what I picked up basically, and Dato just sharing, very interesting about nature, about tides, yeah, high tide, low tide, right? So it's a natural progression, right? Whatever goes up must come down will go up, right? And also many issues are man-made, but he believes that as long as this, the institution is sound, which we think that there is some sense that the financial institution is sound. I mean, banks, etc. That they are making profits at this moment, and also the fact that real estate is a certain very very safe asset class, as you mentioned about land, having certainty in that. Okay, and let's move on to Mr. Terence Yeo about the macro snapshot, right? What's his overall take on the current situation? Mr. Terence Yeo, would you like to...
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining and having me here. So, Mr. Audrey, Mr. James, and also Dr. Adrian has shared on the macroeconomics. I haven't gone through the crisis when I'm in this business, so perhaps my perspective would be a bit different. Okay, in my opinion, on general market, global property markets, we can see that some countries are actually recovering in the property market. Of course, global pandemic, everyone are affected. Okay, but when we zoom into Malaysia market, I think it's very much depends on two things. The first thing would be the buyer's confidence. Okay, second is the supply and demand, and we can see that government actually has a lot of incentive to encourage people to buy property, and also for the owners to dispose. Okay, the waiver of RPGT for the first 3 properties. So that is very good news. And to me personally, I still have a lot of confidence in current property market. We have been talking to a lot of industry experts, negotiator internally, externally. One thing that is certain is that property transactions and activities still very happening on the ground. Okay, and interestingly, me and my partner had a review on our quarterly production report on 2020. What we noticed is that Q2 had quite a slow month due to MCO 1.0 total lockdown. Everyone is staying at home. However, Q4 we had a significant jump on total production compared to other quarters. So this signifies that buyers actually reacted positively after MCO 1.0 is lifted. So during Q3, people are starting visiting sales gallery, viewing properties. people who are ready to buy properties actually pull the trigger. Q4 is where we see many of our negotiators start sealing the deal. Okay, looking at the properties moving forward, there's a lot of good news. Of course, generally, I'm a bit reserved as a person. I would say it also depends on our political situation as well. And when these are all cleared, when the borders are opens up, foreign investment has more confidence. That's where our property transaction or volume will boost up. Okay, and history tend to repeat itself lah, and we have gone through it before. It's not something that is uncertain. So since that there's so many negotiators here, my questions to the fellow negotiator is, are you prepared? Are you ready to catch the big fishes, the arowana, when this MCO is lifted later? So I throw back the questions back to the floor. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Terence. Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, for everybody tuning in and listening, right, I understand there are a lot of real estate agents here, but those that are not agents, not negotiators, not agents, right? Could you write number 2, please, and just maybe share with us in the chat where you're from, what industry. So we will skew the questions a little bit towards, maybe your needs. If you could, if those that are not from the agency, please put number 2 on the chat, please, on the chat. Yeah. So interestingly, Terence has mentioned a little bit about recovery. He mentioned a little bit about, he believes about the pent-up demand, especially every time MCO is lifted, any restriction is lifted. So very interestingly, in this midst of all these background, right, what we understand now in the various overseas market, right, we did some reading and some research before I came here today. So the markets in the US, in the UK, right, even China, Hong Kong, and Singapore is very positive, right? The real estate market is booming in the last several months at this moment, right? So, very interesting observations mentioned by Terence about, pent-up demand, post-recovery. And also, yes, what Terence mentioned about, there's some government incentives as well in place. I think the home ownership campaign, HOC, has been extended till the end of the year, right? Etc. Okay, thank you for the, snapshot to start us, to kick us moving forward. Okay, so I think all of the panelists have talked a little bit about the challenges of the problems, right, in a sense, facing this industry. So let's turn it around a little bit, okay? So James earlier has mentioned, some uncertainties that perhaps, we cannot control. For example, closure of borders, unemployment and things like that. Perhaps maybe we can ask James a little bit about his opinion, right? What can, we do, right? For example, if you're a real estate entrepreneur, as an agent, right? You're self-employed, right? As an agent entrepreneur, what can you do as agency owner? What can they do, amidst this uncertainty to resolve these issues? Okay. So James, would you like to, share a little bit on what, you think they can do? We can do.
Okay. For your, I know it's very tough for you to so-called sell property. Like for us valuers, I don't know why the government consider us as non-essential. Okay, estate agents is also they say that it's non-essential. My valuers group, we have been trying to contact NITI through the BOVIA, Board of Valuers Estate Agents and the property managers to make representation to them and tell them, hey, guys, listen, without our signature, without our advice, the bank cannot release the money, okay? And then if the bank cannot release the money, the economy will get stuck. And then with a lot of fellows out there who need financing to refinance their property, they just don't have the fund. So how are they? And then you do not want at the end of the day to make the situation worsen with the unemployment. When businesses close down, unemployment will rise, and then the livelihoods people will be affected. So coming back to answer your question about this estate agency part, the issue here is that the demand is still there. And I always tell those participants in some of the talks that I conduct with some of the local banks and some of the foreign banks is that in every storm, there is a rainbow, okay? In every storm, there is opportunity. Like for us, like now, as a valuer, what we find is that there were people who need to refinance the property. like for your estate agent, definitely there will be cases whereby people are looking to buy cheap property. There is, in fact, actually, David, if you don't mind me, can I share screen? One slide, okay? Just let me share screen now, okay?
Just one slide, yeah, James.
Just one slide. I show you this macro perspective, okay? This one slide, okay? Let me show you this one slide, okay? Can you all see this?
Yes, we can.
So
Make it a little bigger, yeah, just a little bit bigger.
okay. Can you all see this one slide?
Yeah.
Can you see this? If you were to compare 1997, 98 versus 2008, 2009, and then the current situation, we have got all this, okay? The overhang is huge, it's quite bad, say. But this overhang is localized into certain type of properties, okay? And we have got another issue here is that population growth is decreasing. But I forget to include one thing. We are facing with an aging population, okay? This is something that is very real, okay? So this is a situation that we are facing. Coming back to your question about this, okay, I go back to this, okay? The demand for property is always there. How you all go and tap and fish that particular market is there. Through the way I see it is that now you all cannot go and see clients, okay? One of the ways to do it is that through internet marketing. Sell property through the internet, sell property through, you go and do all the videos. Like for us now as values, what we do now is that what we do is that we use a drone. We use drones. I'm taking a course to learn how to fly a drone to take picture, to put a video in the for the properties, So there is always ways and means to overcome the current situation, This is my take on it. But in the midst of the storm, there is a rainbow, and it's how you're going to capitalize it. And then from this big picture, you can see, okay, population is decreasing, but you don't forget, we still have got what you call a middle class population. So families are still growing, maybe a bit slower, but the demand is there. And now, if you look at the current crisis, okay, when we do work for the auditors, okay, and then we tell the bankers at this current market situation, what are the few bright spots that is taking place? Landed property, we see so many those landed property in those certain locations with well connected, which is well connected, okay, high-speed broadband near highways, is well taken up. Another sector which is really so-called booming is the demand for industrial land. We have never valued so many industrial land, and then we see the prices all moving up. So this is one of the areas which you can so-called focus. And I tell my banker friends who say that you cannot get target, cannot meet target. I say you just go and look at the industrial side, because I'm sure most of you would have bought stuff from online, Lazada, whether it's Lazada, Shopee, blah, 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 the whole lot. And there is a need for this with what you call distribution space. Central kitchen, for the matter. I just went to the 17 mall, section 20, near where I live. They created the first floor into a central kitchen, whereby it's a centralized, you can just order stuff there. So there is opportunity in the midst of all these things. What I'm saying is that it's how you actually go in and find out and tap into it now. That's all.
Thank you, James. Maybe later we will go a little bit and tap your, your experience on, certain niches that are doing well for all our agent friends here later. Yeah, thank you very much, James, for your sharing. I'll come back to you in a little while.
Okay.
So, ladies and gents, I'm looking at the chat group. There are other people from various industries. There are bankers, from real estate investment funds. There's some blockchain, ex-developer. You have insurance as well, right? Okay. Please, if you have any questions, right, please. write it down there. But before you post your question, only two things. We only ask for two things. Number one, your name and what profession are you in. Then just ask the question, who are you directing the questions to? And at the end of the session, right, we have 3 books to give away. We'll ask the panelists to choose 3 persons to give away the books. We have Mr. Ho Chin Sun's Kuala Lumpur 2020 to give away later. Yeah. Okay, so thank you, James, for your clarification there. I think one certainty that I would really like to highlight here is that there's always a rainbow after a storm. I think that's one interesting certainty that I mean in light of today's topic, right? So I think what James mentioned, right? I just want to ask the panelists here one very quick question, and also the real estate agents here. Maybe those are from real estate agencies. I understand that in terms of what do you call it, designation of whether it's essential, non-essential, right? And I know that because I was previously from I know that developers lobby the government very strongly for many things, but I believe, right, the number of agents in our country, I mean, may I know how many real estate agents are there in the country? 20, 30,000, is it around that region? If anyone would like to clarify.
Yeah, it's probably, David, it's probably that around, but for valuers, I tell you the number, the registered valuers, active one, it's probably around the 500 mark.
Only 500. But estate agents, does anyone know roughly how many
Probably 30, 40K.
About 30, 40,000. Yeah.
40,000. Because I believe, let's say, if estate agents felt that, they are, sidelined, in terms of work movements, etc. And what James mentioned is very true. Like, for example, every profession, like real estate agency or valuers, there's certain part of the work that impacts the economy significantly. And I'm sure, real estate contributes a big chunk to the GDP, right? Perhaps,
a very big chunk.
Right? So a petition from the agencies or or through the association or list of agents, I think that I believe that would joke the government. Someone mentioned here jolting them out from the to realize the importance of the role played by estate agents. Yeah, I mean that's just a comment there.
They allow the factories, David. They allow the factories to open now, 90,000. But values like just like your side, where is the close proximity thing? Where's the congregation? No, you just bring a person to see a property. That's about it, no?
Yeah. And also James mentioned about using virtual opportunities here as well, internet marketing and drones, etc. Yeah. Thanks for that, James. Okay, we will go to the next person. We will go in around, right? Mr. Aldrin Tan, Aldrin, right? Just how you shared a little bit about your snapshots, right? About adaptability, about how to reach the customers correctly. So, any other suggestions on what people can do, estate agents, etc., can do to sort of, pull themselves out, to closer towards the rainbow at this moment, Aldrin?
All right. Okay. As what James mentioned, all right, the business is still there. The demand is there. As what we can see during the first MCO. All right, that was a total lockdown. Okay. So for me, sales is based on a conversion. Your contract sign. All right. Let's not talk about booking. And of course, during the first MCO, literally our business dropped by 99%. All right. And who can sign S&P and sign tenancy agreement? But then we see that, as what also Terence says, from July onwards last year, in fact, last year, Q3, all right, in terms of the volume of transaction, that was the highest quarter 3 in 2020 as compared to 2019, 18, 17, and 16. All right. So business is still there. All right. And so what happened this time round? So I think my advice or my sharing today, very specifically on this is this, the business doesn't stop. All right. We are running business on the ground. All right. So each and every one, especially those who are practicing on the ground, be it they are negotiators or a real estate agent, this is the moment where your action, all right, for the next whatever number of days that we get locked down is going to determine your result in quarter 3 and quarter 4. And we see that very, very clearly. All right. One of the things is your marketing shouldn't stop. In fact, you should ramp it up. So that is number one. And also one thing, all right, when the market becomes highly competitive and there can be confusion or dilution, okay, there are certain areas within the market where it's actually also growing very fast. Like for example, e-commerce. Am I right? That Malaysia is one of the fastest growing e-commerce in the Asia Pacific country. All right, comes second after India. All right. And so that will translate to, that will translate to higher demand of warehouses. All right. So, so industrial is one of the sector. So the point that I'm trying to make is this. you know, when the market gets tough, okay, we have to be more specific. All right, and as an entrepreneur on the ground, okay, remember, you're not just doing sales. All right, you also need to have the strategy, your business planning. All right, so and you know that whatever that we plan, and when we execute it, we do not see the result right away. You know, what if you feel that the industrial market is actually fast growing, and that is a sector that you start you may want to go in, so it will take time. All right, I mean, of course, incidentally, of course, lately I'm sure a lot of agents here would agree that everyone is going the craze of industrial. Am I right? So but think for a moment, all right. Well, this is where generally a lot of agents on the ground is moving towards, and I think rightfully yes. Okay, how about other segment as well? All right, we see that first-time home buyers, in terms of, let's say, the number of loan approved last year. So I was just looking at the statistic. A large chunk of the loan approved, okay, last year went to first-time home buyer. So how about targeting property that is, that is built for, that is meant to for first-time home buyer. All right, so so I think in short, times like that. Not only we need to do what we need to do, all right, marketing, we also have to plan what is ahead of us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Audrey, for your sharing. I mean, very positively. I mean, but I think what we get here is that planting a seed, right? Today, what you do will determine your results in the next couple of months, right? And if you look at the trend that you experienced last year, right? Post after MCO, there's some form of pent-up demand. So I just want to ask, everybody, if you wanted to participate in the chat group, I mean, how many of you believe there is some form of pent-up demand, post-restriction, post-MCO? If you do believe so, please just type number 1 in your chat screen. And if you have any other questions, right, please, write it down there, and then we will address it to the analysts, right? So we're talking about pent-up demand, as just now Audrey and Terence have mentioned a little bit. Okay, let's go on to Dato' Adrian, right? So Dato' Adrian, on this, what is your take on this, on how they can go closer towards the rainbow? What can agents do, on the ground to help, to do in this kind of situation?
Yeah, I think property, we split into 2 segments. There's one property under the title, that is individual title. The other one is a strata title. I think they come to this MCO. I have received a lot of data that the agents are facing a huge challenges, especially for a strata title condominium or strata title office, where some of the tenancy they wanted to end already. They want to move out. Some people are coming in to replace it. All this has to be on a hold, and a lot of the owner also suffering, because when you stop it, it will actually waste of receive of new renter to pay off the bank. These are the things. But so far we have to ask an agent to think out of the boxes, how to make things smoothly. Perhaps we will ask the agents to search on some of the property that doesn't require renovation, or even don't have to do a lot of massive move in and move out kind of activities, so that they can quietly to transfer the tenant out to replace the old tenant. And the other thing will be the when come to the agents, not beside whatever just now James and Adrian is talking about, all this technical advertisement. This morning I come across one of the agent. I think Jurena Tay also in this forum. I saw her name and him here. And this morning I saw her Facebook. She has to replace a light bulb for one of the owner. You see, being a real estate agent, because maybe she need to hand over the property, I believe. So the light is not working. She has to be a handyman to replace a bulb for the landlord as well. So this kind of flexibility we have to adapt to. Not only thing we are real estate agents, or these are the contractor work. I will leave it to contractor. But you see, during this MCO, the contractor cannot carry on with any work. We have to make the smooth transition. We have to give extra services. So always send the shoe or somebody to think to solve all their problems. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's also one thing we picked up here was thinking out of the box, and being flexible. I think this is also what Audrey mentioned earlier, so relatable points, yeah. About going to what the consumer is looking for. If they're looking at value-added service, just changing a light bulb, they may stand it in good stead with your client, right? Okay, I will just pick up one question first. From this, there's one person here who mentioned something very interesting in the chat group, right? Is the name is iPad to everyone. I don't know whether could you type your name, please? So later, we have a record. iPad to everyone. Okay, this person mentioned that this person is a property agent. He believes that at this moment, what he's experiencing, sub sales, right, is very slow for him. So he's saying that, looking at his peers, etc., many agents are doing direct developer project, right? So he has a question. He says, is there a future for secondary market? Should I refocus? How big is the secondary market? I think the crux of his question is that, should he switch to primary, and whether there's a future, if he continue to focus on that, what do you call it, secondary market? So I think I would like to ask this question as well a little bit later. Maybe I'll ask this now, Terence, if you don't mind. Maybe I go one round, then I come back to you again in a while, if you don't mind, right? I'll start with you, Terence. Maybe I start with you, if you don't mind. Yeah.
No worries. Actually, I saw the chat, and I think it's a very interesting question. I think statistically, sub-sale market is still the biggest market compared to the project. And I feel like why he has this experience or this perspective is that maybe is on his own circle. So perhaps what he can do, iPad, to talk to your leaders and see what are the things that you can do to look into sub-sale. Of course, project is interesting. It's interesting because of the government incentive, HOC extended zero down payments, a lot of incentive from the developer as well. So from the surface, we see, oh, actually it can do. So what I'm trying to say is that actually both sub-sale and project-wise is still very active. In fact, in our own agency, we can see that we don't see that there's a slowdown in sub-sale and there's increase in project. I think it's very equivalent. Yeah.
Okay, Terence, before we go back to one round to the other speakers, would you like to give any comments as well in terms of how you feel agents can value or get closer to the rainbow, to the solution after this MCO?
Yeah, actually, for the past few sessions we had, we already mentioned a few things that an agent, a real estate negotiator can do. All right, there's a lot of things that a real estate negotiator can do. Maybe I would like to share also what an agency can do, because as an agency leaders, we always have to upskill ourselves, not just negotiator. As a leaders, we also have to upskill ourselves and know where the market trends are heading to. Okay, by way of attending trainings, talk to more industry leaders, with the boards, with the MIEA, more reading and so on and so forth. Okay, one good thing that now knowledge is almost free. Okay, you guys attend this training is free. Thanks to the internet, I think actually internet opened up tremendous opportunity. All right, at the same time also increase the competition as well. Undeniably, the pandemic has escalated the adoptions of digital technology, and adoption of digital technology is a must. So coming back, we are looking at prop tech. We are in prop tech of 3.0 already. We have seen digital e-signing, virtual show gallery, developer using Matterport, and sooner or later we will see more and more adoptions of the technology, AR, VR. I've seen someone mention he is in blockchain. Yes, blockchain is something that is moving forward, and this is not just happening in property industry, but in every industry. So as industry leaders, we need to able to adapt and change and use this knowledge and the skills that we acquired to create values for our agents. Okay, coming back for real estate negotiator, how as an agency we can equip them better. Perhaps another feasible way is to collaborate, like what we are doing with Profil, with CBD, with Esprit. Okay, this 14 days of training session, I think it's a good thing. It's a good beginning. It's a good initiative where we can see agencies actually can leverage on each other's strength, can work and synergize together. we actually have seen so many collaboration in between negotiator, co-broke, co-agency, we call it. And now we are getting to see more of this kind of collaboration in agency letter, which will benefit the agents.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Terence, for your points about upskilling, knowledge, and collaborative synergy as well. So, okay, James, I think this is question from iPad to everyone. iPad, please note your name down, right? So that we know who you are. I think from the question you posed, I would like to pose this question to James as well. So between the primary market, secondary market, right? So do you feel that, what iPad is saying that, he's saying that, secondary market is very quiet, should he refocus? What say you, James, in the long run?
Actually, based on our inquiries, okay, you see, the demand for secondary market is there, okay. You see, once the primary market is completed, okay, there'll be a lot of speculators out there. There'll be a lot of first investors out there who have actually bought the property, and then some of them bought compressed loan, some of them bought with heavy discounts. They want to let go. So the secondary market is definitely there. You see, based on my company statistics, the amount of verbal indication that you get from bankers of potential buyers of secondary market way exceed the primary market. Okay, the primary market, the challenges that the primary market is facing is that, of course, the developer want to sell at high price. Your value say, no, this pricing is not sustainable. We tell them flat, we turn them down, and that's it. But in the secondary market, based on what we get, the calls that we receive, this is actually ground level information. We get calls from buyers of all type of property. Secondary market, industrial property worth 20 million, 50 million, industrial lands, agricultural lands zoned for industrial use, development lands. Like one banker called me up and say, hey, I got this plan, I want to buy one 3-acre site in Kepong, all sort of thing. So this is not primary market, but the secondary market. So what? And then even shop houses, like even at this market condition, people say a shop house not good investment. But we have got lots of all this indication of the newer projects. People, those secondary businesses, they want to buy over for their own use. That's what we see happening. And the thing is that all this, I actually answered the person iPad. I say, if you look at the NAPIC statistic, the primary market is only a small, maybe about 15 or 20%. If you look at the NAPIC stats, the statistics, those of you who really want the NAPIC stats, okay, contact me. I have got the property market report in WhatsApp form, 300 over pages. And inside there, I can WhatsApp to you because JPPH made it available. And then from the statistics we see is that developer only about 20% only. But it is as though as the whole developer market is so big. Okay? And we see that there's so many secondary properties going for sale, coming to us for indication. And what I'm saying is that the prime location, this one will be another session whereby I use this acronym called the DCTC principle. The DCTC principle, the distance, cost, time, and convenience issue, the principle of accessibility, which I teach all my line economics students for the last 10, 20 years, it applies in the sense that those properties which are located in prime location, in Bangsa, for instance, we got so many requests for this 10 million, 50 million condo called Alia residence in Bangsa. I mean, in this market condition, you wouldn't expect now economy very bad. You cannot sell the bigger thing. No, but we have got I think over the past 1 month or so, something like almost 5-6 indication requests from the bankers of all this property that people are buying in the secondary market. So definitely, you look at the prime location. If you talk about outskirts, forget it. But you talk about established location. You're talking about in the Klang Valley type thing, the market is definitely there one.
I see. Thank you, James. So location, very important as a secondary market.
Yeah, still come back to location. I'm sure you all know that the mantra of property is location, location, location. But of course, you also got to consider one thing: work from home issue. That one will be another topic.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, James. We'll come back to you in a little while. Yeah, okay. Shall we go to Aldrin? Aldrin, primary, secondary. What's your take on this? Is secondary date? What are your take? What's your take?
All right, primary, secondary. Okay, now a bit of history. When I started Esprit 20 years ago, I started by marketing a Sunways project. All right. So for many years, our core revenue is actually from project marketing. Okay. Now, to answer iPad's question and also to everyone as well. Okay. What is the business that we are in? All right. As a real estate negotiator, as a real estate agent, we are in the business of lead generation. All right. Statistics are there. Doesn't mean when the market booms mean you will make money. Am I right? Doesn't mean that market actually, we gone through the pandemic. I know a lot of agents that actually make a lot more money last year as compared to the year before. In fact, my company revenue has gone up by 142% in 2020 compared to 2019. Now, we are in the business of lead generation. Either you are doing project or you are doing sub-sale. All right. If your marketing, your lead generation is lacking, it can be any of this segment that you are trying to sell. Who are you going to sell to? All right. So if you ask me, both sub-sale and primary market, if you ask me, it's just another property, right? Okay. So but there's also another difference. Okay. While lead generation is very important, one of the things is this. From my perspective, selling projects can be highly efficient, and that's the reason why for many years, and we still do today. We put a lot more weightage on project marketing. Is for one simple reason: for those who are on the ground. Okay, there are three things that I always say. All right, for you to close the deal, number one, you need to have a stock. All right, you need to reach out, which is you need to do marketing. Otherwise, who are you going to sell to? And then you must have the salesmanship, which is a skill to sell. All right. So now, if you were to do sub-sale, means you are required to actually procure your listing. All right. So that's actually a process. Okay. And for project, meaning to say, if you're on the platform where the company is doing a lot of projects, means stock is actually given. So out of the three things, stock is already given. You are only needing to do what they call reach out or marketing, and then to do sales. So this two is highly important. So to answer your question, iPad, is it project or is it sub-sale? Which is better? Which has a bigger market share? Which has a less? This is what I see to a lot of agents on the ground. Sometimes we analyze and we become paralyzed. Now, statistic is highly important, all right, in terms of the market share. Okay, so if you go into a segment where the market share is larger, the next question is how much are you going to penetrate into that particular segment, and how many deals can you capture? So in short, lead generation is the business. If you do it right, you can even sell both. Okay, and I don't believe in an agent or a real estate negotiator can only do project and cannot do sub-sale, or do sub-sale can do project, because three things here required. If you already have the store and you know how to generate the leads, sales, and you have the salesmanship, you can do both. All right, so that's my response to iPad.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And Dr. Adrian, what say you? Primary versus secondary. What's your quick take on that?
I sell both. I consider myself as a wholesale market. Wholesale market, because the most important the question to the iPad is, let's say you're focused in one area, and in a particular area you have sub-sale and there is a project. You take both, because from the past 20 years ago, I started with Ara Damansara. It just got a developer project. After developer project, I do the sub-sale. I keep on going from houses, going to sell the condominiums, then offices within the whole area. You see, because at the end of the day, the confidence to the agent is very important. If you're confident and comfortable with the location, regardless of housing, regardless of offices, commercial shop lot, you sell. This is my take. So I don't restrict, or I'm opening a food store. I only want to sell oranges. I don't sell apple. No, I sell everything. It depends on the client walking, what they want to need, what they need. But I make sure myself, I want to sell a quality fruit. It means sell quality property. Ignore all these half-past developers or bad workmanship developers. That's all is my advice. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, ladies and gents, for everybody present, right, please keep those questions coming, yeah? So we will try to pick as many as possible, and then that's relevant, we'll try to filter. Please post your questions there, yeah, okay? So, all right, I think I'll pick one more question from the what do you call it, from the chat room. Okay, this is from Timothy L to everyone, right? Okay, this one, I think I will post it one round later from Terence to, we will go one round. Okay, the question is this, right? This person is thinking of joining an agency, right? I'll quote this person, I'm thinking of joining an agency. But it seems that some agency only focus sub-sales, some focusing on projects. Which agency does it better and more potential? But I think I just put one more layer to this question, right? If let's say an agent, right, is thinking, for example, they're not happy with the current agency, or they are in another industry, let's say in airline, oil and gas, F&B, etc. They're thinking of switching to the real estate agency. Okay, then what would be your advice? Why should they join your agency? Meaning, why do you think your agency is different than the others? I mean, what are you doing now, to recruit and to differentiate yourself? Maybe I start with Terence and then I'll go one round. Your differentiation USP, unique selling proposition. Terence? Hello, Terence, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Let me turn on the
What
mic.
is your USP for your agency for your side?
Okay, just now, Timothy actually mentioned which agency to join, and some focus in sub-sales, some focus project, right? Actually, it was very interesting. I would say join us because we do both, we focus on both. Okay, I think take it on a serious note. I think ultimately as an agents, you want to look at how the agency able to help you to sustain in this business, and what kind of value that this agency can provide to you. Okay, I think that in the real estate agencies, all the agencies, what they are kind of supports the system more or less the same. So ultimately is that whether these agencies suits you in terms of the culture, in terms of the guidance, I mean one-to-one kind of guidance, so that you can able to close deal as soon as possible. Okay, for us, we focus a lot of building on our agency culture, which we learned a lot from our mentor as well, is to we look at big C and big I, which is continuous improvement through learning, okay, for us. And also we want to foster teamwork, okay, among our agents, and to leverage and share resources. I think for just now I mentioned, this is a very good initiative that we have come all together, these three agencies, to focus on that, to leverage and share resources together. And last but not least, for us is to develop the positive mindset for our agents, okay? Because there's a lot of noise in the market, there's a lot of not so good news, I would say. And how agencies deliver the message matters, okay? And we want to develop our people to have a winning mentality, because we are as a real estate negotiator, we are actually a businessman, okay? If we are not focusing to thrive, chances are we will be left out. So to have the winning mentality is very important. And for sure that as a new agent coming in, on-ground guidance is the most important thing, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. James, I don't, because this is more of an agency thing, maybe I'll go on, right? I'll come back to you straight away, James, if you don't mind. Ken, it's about, their differentiation. So, Audrey, I mean, for Esprit side, how do you differentiate, in terms of recruitment, and how do you motivate your agents, etc.? I mean, if you share some USP as well from your side.
All right, okay. Okay, this is how I feel, all right, because whenever there's an agent who want to join or someone you want to join, the first thing they ask is, what can you support? What can you support? Then support is actually a very big word, am I right? But generally, this is how I feel, okay. For those who are interested to become a real estate negotiator, go into a platform, all right, that provide you a couple of things. Number one, training. Number two, coaching. Number three, technology, prop tech, all right. Now, number four, okay, a structure that allow you to grow, that has a career path That is highly important. Number 5, okay, a platform that can create business opportunity for you, okay. And lastly, number 6, all right, a platform where you think about it, why would you want to let a platform dictates whether you are successful or not? Now, this can be a bit of what they call irony, okay? Now, what do I mean by that, all right? If you were to go into a platform that actually sell a lot of projects, okay, then yes, you are able to sell, all right? But what if the project doesn't move? Then your business go down, all right? So the point I'm trying to make is the 6th point is this: going to a platform that believe in growing you, that believe in coaching you, that believe to make you be able to run the business successfully. So I put it in a very simplistic way, all right? For us, we believe in teaching our people on how to fish rather than give them the fishes. All right. So I guess it's the same also as the other 2 agency here. What they call that is that's online today. And that is what the ultimate objective of we as a business owner of a platform. Okay. So it's just that a lot of us are doing it in a very different way. But as what we can see, all right, this business is actually getting highly competitive. Okay, and the fact that the 3 agency here has been has been existent for many years, all right, and we are still growing. That actually signifies the fact that not only we are able to adapt, we are able to make a difference, a positive difference for everyone to run their business on the ground. Remember this. Okay, this is what I tell myself. Okay, many years ago. All right. I started being a real estate agent in 95. This is what I tell myself. I will want to make sure that my success lies in my hand. All right. The platform that I'm in is highly important. All right. And if you are in the platform that will help you to grow your business, not help you to just grow your sales, is a whole world of different. Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. Back
Thank
to
you for
David.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pose this to Dato as well. Dato, I mean, for your site, CBD site, what's your USP in terms of recruitment, etc.? Maybe you just give us a snapshot, please. Yeah.
Okay, in CBD, I adopt the mentorship method. Everyone, they are a great person, they're intelligent, they are all coming from the different backgrounds. I would say I prefer those mentorship is to find out their strength. Find out the strength and where are they coming from. To sell sub-sale and sell project, frankly speaking, over 20 years, I has experienced that selling project and selling sub-sale, sometimes even sell residential, sometimes sell commercial property, sometimes sell industrial. It's all sometimes is to the timing and demand of the industry. But just an advice that whenever you want to do it, you must be very focused and do it deeply, not just touch and go, right? Don't just get influenced by people when saying that a project is good. Just okay, you do a while, then you feel something is wrong. You distract by them to do another thing. You distract it. So far, I always learn how to say no to somebody if my mission has not been reached. And I get the people in. I find out their strength, and then I give them the knowledge. Especially project is one of the easiest to do. Reason because everything is fixed. Everything you can just memorize from the book, and we teach them what to do. But the most difficult is the mindset, the attitude, and the EQ. The one this group, the mindset, the attitude, and the EQ complete of 60% of the your success journey. The knowledge is just 40%, right? So I look at it. The whole thing is we train them and then we teach them the way to realign it. Just like a car, when they come in, the alignment not good already. I try to align it so that every one of us come out differently. This is my take. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate that. Okay, we have, I think, about close to about 20 minutes left. But before that, okay, I just want to shift this discussion a little bit, right? go back to James here now, because earlier James mentioned a little bit about, what he mentioned about central kitchen, right? He mentioned about industrial, right? Perhaps, has a value, etc. Maybe we ask him for a snapshot. Like I feel that the agents here, all of us will benefit as well. So James, in terms of the positivity, what are the niche areas, right, that you can share with us that say that, there's the prospect and, there's potential prospect there as well, on just now where you left off earlier, on the niche markets.
Industrial definitely is there, okay? Number one, because if you look at the amount of stuff that is being sold from Lazada, from you name it, it's all there, okay? So what we see happening is that the demand for industrial property is definitely there. But now the thing is that there's always a danger whereby the developers will rush in like what happened in 2010, 2011. Everybody saw the service apartment market so good, jump in and build and have another overbuilt situation. And create industrial parks where there are no takers for it. So we do not want that to happen. So I would advise that the developers will probably do a proper market study for that matter. Okay. So coming back to your side about the market situation, okay. The niche market for industrial kitchen definitely is there. Okay. This is my view, okay. Because you see, there's a lot of people now due to this pandemic thing, a lot of them, they buy their food online, make a phone call and get it delivered, pay through online. So there is, in my view, there is a demand for central kitchens. There is the demand for industrial property, okay? And also there is a demand for landed property. The market is there. As I posted, I answered some of while you're talking about some of these agency matter, I tried to answer some of those in the chat, in the questions in the chat. So landed property in location that is close to city, close established areas, you're talking about the Plain Valley thing, definitely is there one. One of my brother-in-law is a estate agent in the market. He told me, you see, he just don't have stock. SS2, Taman Tun, that sort of thing. The demand is there near the LRT station in old established areas. There is, but of course you go further afield, whereby the catchment area is not there. Whereby another issue here is that you go to an area whereby the occupancy rate is less than 50%. Okay, secondary market may not be there. You go to the outskirt areas. There's a lot of big townships that are being developed in the outskirt areas. But if it is not fully sold, let's say one particular township, developer only sold about 50%. So you can be very well assured that people can say, why should I buy in the secondary market when I can go and pick up from the developer, whereby I can get all the freebies on the developer. So coming back to it, it is actually a location issue, and then also you got to look at it from a supply point of view, that which project have they really all been sold or not? Okay, so the secondary market, like, not say because I'm based in PJ, I live in PJ all my life, I support PJ, but a lot of areas in Ampang, in those middle upper class areas, transactions are taking place. The demand is still there. It's how you actually go and fish for the owner to sell. Because then also the other thing too is this now. What I also noticed is that there is a trend of moving from the bigger bungalows to the bigger apartments, because a lot of the children who have gone overseas, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, USA, migrate there, they left the 2 old folk home. They want to do that. Are they going to stay in a big bungalow or without security thing? Or would they want to move into an apartment with security facilities? And this is what we observe. And another growing trend, since all of you are here, is this. We are facing with an aging population. Okay? Here's the fact. We are facing an aging population. Okay? The issue of the aging population is that your aging population, what are the requirements for aging population? At the moment, I can share with you a set of notes whereby I mentioned about the aged care facilities. the unfortunate part is that Malaysia don't have a proper framework for the aging facilities. I know Aldrin knows about it. He was marketing the Race Raya project in this Glen Eagles, which is to me, in my opinion, is a very good thing. But that one is on the rental basis. What about those single people? Because if you look at study the demographic, okay, the demographic is that there is a lot of single people. What happened when they age? Okay, where are they going to stay? So the market is definitely there. Okay, so you need facilities and you need to live in a community, because man is not built. God did not create us as an island. We need communication. That's why now most of the households every day is looking at the handphone, looking at the Zoom meeting. That's why some of you are saying that the line is not stable, because every fellow is jumping into it. You see. So these are some of those things you've got to consider, that aging population or something. But established location, definitely the demand is there. I get requests from all the bankers in prime established areas, talking about your Kepong, some of us, your Ampang, in those established areas, the demand is still there. But also the aging population, there is a need for that. There's the niche market for it, you see.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think recently there is also a JV signed with UOA. Actually, one of our clients signed a JV with UOA on, I think, some of their Bangsa South facilities for aging care. I think it was mentioned in the news recently.
Maybe can I just add on something to what
Yes,
James said?
yeah.
All right, highly interesting. We are talking about aging nation. Just a bit of statistic because I was doing consultancy for Race Raya.
Yes.
And so it's actually what you call a senior living facilities.
Sure.
Now, aging nation is 10% of the population is above 60. All right. So just a bit of a statistic. It takes Japan about 20 over years for it to be an aging nation. And we know Japanese today, Japan is one of the largest in terms of ratio of their population that is 60 and above. In Malaysia, it's going to just take about in the next 12 to 15 years. So this is actually a huge segment that each and everyone that's online, either you're a developer, either you're a banker, either you're a real estate agent, all right? This is talking about also a real estate targeting seniors. This is one up and coming segment that is perhaps I can use the word explode, all right? Okay, in the next few years coming. Okay, so and something certainly highly interesting. Yeah.
And then you look at the number of nursing homes that is around, is increasing. So the type of property that is going to be demanded for the aging population is there. So do you buy a property with a title? What are the legal implications behind it? Okay, what happens if you die and then who's going to take care of you? Is a single guy or single lady? Okay, without kids, let's say you got a couple, the husband died or the wife died, what will happen? So there's a lot of all these legal implications, which is not, unfortunately, which is not fully resolved yet, you see. So this is something which is very interesting. The demand is definitely be there. Like give you one example, okay. I was told by my friend, SS2 Mall, don't know which group, the life care center, they bought it. They want to convert it into what you call aging 2 blocks of condominium. One for above 60 only can buy. The other one is anybody can buy. They got all the medical facilities and then blah blah blah. The whole lot thing is there. Okay. So and then also one of my friends who shared with me that one project in Cheras, also the same thing. So this one is very good. You see. So the way I look at it is that the demand is really there, and your secondary market definitely is very strong. And I can tell you one thing: when I teach my land economics students, okay, the principle of the DCTC, distance, cost, time, and convenience. You analyze every property in that line of distance to your facilities, distance to your schools, distance to your amenities, and so forth. Cost to go, time taken to travel, to move around, but the crucial part is the convenience. That's why all these properties are coming up, like all these aged care facilities. The older people, they need to be close to hospital, they need to be close to transportation routes, they need to be close to LRT and facilities, and then near to the people. I share with you, I did a market study for another project in PD. They wanted to do a aged care thing, but with some facilities for the Tanko group. Okay, they wanted to do it, and I think it could work. You need to have a lot of facilities. You need to complement accessibility issue and a lot of all these other things. You see.
Thank you, James. James, we'll come back to you in a little while. I'll just, Audrey has something. You want to add something else, Audrey, before we go to Dr. Adrian?
Not really lah, but I saw someone talking about the market now is blowing wind on project. I wanted to say soon in the next probably 2 to 3 years or 3 to 4 years, people will be blowing wind on senior living.
Yeah, okay.
Huge segment,
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Adrian, do you want to, what's your take about this aging population and real estate catering to this? You have any comments on this part?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, I'm also very active into it. Just now, James said one of the medical group actually take over SS2 Mall. I'm the one actually conclude the deal.
Oh, okay.
It's Life Care lah. Life Care took over the whole mall. Now actually applying the hospital license. Stage 1 already obtained, now waiting for stage 2. So there's another 2 block apartments to be developed by the developer. So we chose this area because of a very established area, SS2.
Near the Columbia Hospital, near the Makan, SS2 area, okay, Chinese area, near the highways, okay, near the Spring Highway, near the Kasas, near the what called LDP, okay, established area, no?
Yeah, true. But we are not stopping only at SS2. There are certain group also from overseas are coming into Malaysia to sell all these things. But the issue is that just now James mentioned about the title issue, especially now you can see a lot of single parents. And what if they say they pass away, who is going to take over this property? We don't want, after selling this property to any one of them when they pass away, right? Nobody taking care. And we don't know how to transfer the title. Sooner or later, the occupancy of the building become lesser and lesser. So we need to come in with a certain strategy is how to transfer the ownership if they pass away. Either by the way of trust or by the way of will, all these things have to be implemented before they are able to buy it. And the other thing will be some of the property, they also have to come in the hospital package. As we know that a lot of people say it's a nursing home, it's a retirement home, but they don't really provide compulsory facility. So at the end of the day, it's just a normal property. Why Australia and certain countries are doing very well? Actually, they treat it very compulsory. You want to buy this property, you must also buy the medical package and the insurance until they die.
So Dr. Adrian, what you say is very true. Here, there is no legal framework for this at the moment. There is, because the government is preoccupied with certain other things. Okay, unfortunately, okay.
Look at it, it's a good thing lah. Look, this why there's no frame, no law. We are the group, the pioneer group, come up with a law.
So this one is very, very interesting for this lah. No. So what I find is that this is something for your estate agent, the 200 of yours here, is something to look forward to. This is something which is very close to my heart, because when I write in the press, when I do market study, I say, hey, this is one thing that is going to be very, very niche and very highly demanded in the near future. And it is very, very location based. The SS2 Mall, to me, I look at it, it's very prime. It's very near to the UMSC, near the University Hospital, near to the Columbia Asia Hospital, near the KPJ. KPJ is only 10 minutes away, So you are spot near this sort of thing, and then shopping center, so forth and so forth. Is the thing is all there, established area. And then this one, KJ was one of the, it is what you call offshoot of KL. Consider last time it was no man's land when my dad bought the property in Paramount Garden in 60s, okay, before the May 13 and all those sort of things. No, PJ was nobody wanted. Now it's super prime, you know. So, and this population, those who bought properties in the 60s, 70s, 80s, now they are aging already. So when they die, who are they going to occupy all this space? You know? So they need to be taken care of, you see. So this aging population, the aging housing with aged care facilities is very, very good. And that's why I share with you. There's one project which was built ahead of its time called Mount Kara Sofia. I don't know whether any one of you know about it. Sunrise did the project that was in the 90s. They designed it in such a way for the aged care thing. They had very big doors, and then they had the lift can actually put a casket in there, you know. So, yeah, you know, those of you ask me how I know, because I value the thing before.
Okay, interesting. Okay, Terence, what do you think? A snapshot from you, Terence. Aging population, you think there's a niche that, you know, agents can target?
Yes, definitely. Of course, I do not have much input, but just to share some experience also before MCO, actually me and my partners has been meeting some boutique developers. There are plots of land outside of, it's still within Klang Valley, but a bit outskirt. And then interestingly that they have this idea of developing retirement homes or with certain facility like nursing, hospitality. They were talking about with collaboration with Australia's, because their facilities there is more ready, more developed, more the setup is more proper, stuff like that. And interestingly, to also come with greens, sustainability stuff all in one together. So I'm sure that since that everyone is talking about this, the panelists also agree on this, and I feel like, hey, it's really the trend. Maybe the next 4 or 5 years we can see more and more developers are heading into that direction, and we are talking about aging population now. And I'm sure that those sub-sale agents that is very much focused in bungalows or corner lots, I'm sure that you guys are having inquiries on your listings that whereby they want to do a healthcare center, elderly centers. I'm sure you guys have this kind of inquiry. Our agents are having this kind of inquiry. So moving forward, I think it's going to happen lah. I mean, it's a niche markets that we can have a look into that. Yeah, that's my take.
Okay, thank you very much. So far, I mean, from the panelists, from the chats, we have two main inquiries. iPad and Timothy L. We'll pass 2 books to you guys, but I think time is running out. So I would like to end it with this. I will start with you know, Aldrin, Dr. Adrian, and then James, and then Terence. We'll go one round to you know, have a closing message in conclusion. Aldrin, I mean, maybe I will start with you first. So based on today's topic, right? You know, certainty within uncertainty, and then the theme of solidarity, etc. I mean, any final message you want to send out there, you know, to everybody listening in, you know, to conclude from your side?
Yes, definitely, David. You know, since the crowd mostly are actually practitioners on the ground, and also the fact that, you know, this topic, or rather this forum, the title is actually uncertainties, or rather certainty within the uncertainties. I think that my message across to everyone is this. All right, okay, now we are in the pandemic, so there's a lot of uncertainties, okay? Even dealing with the government at times can be a lot of uncertainties, am I right? So, but I think one thing that is certain is like what I said earlier on, our business still go on. All right, business is a ongoing concern. All right, and the process of just selling is actually just part of our business. As I said, you know, we are in the business of lead generation. So I think during this period of time, not just during this MCO, all right, and this is for the rest of your business. In real estate, you know, marketing will continuously, you know, has to be carried out. Otherwise, who are you going to sell to? All right. So if you have no one to sell to, don't blame the product. All right, because either it's sub-sale or primary, or whether residential, industrial, or commercial, or, you know, it could be in Kayu Hitam all the way to Tebrau in Johor. No, it's actually not the product. Yes, certain product has a certain saleability. All right. Okay. Yes. You know, certain market, certain segment will have a larger market share. But like what I say, the certainty is just one thing. All right. If you stop running your business and if you stop generating leads, your business will never grow. All right. So that's why I say earlier on, we are in the business of lead generation, and I think that is very, very important. Okay, and the rest of it are also very important as well. But lead generation, otherwise, how are you going to practice the skill that you learn? All right, who are you going to sell to when you have a product to sell? Am I right? So the certainty within the uncertainty, your business go on. Do not stop your lead generation. Carry on with your marketing. Yeah. So that's my message to everyone.
Thank you, Audrey. And then maybe we go to Dato as well. Any closing message for everybody on your side today? Dato, we can't hear you. Your mic is mute.
Okay, I think Adrian already shared about all the technical things. So I want to touch more on the soul and the moral side. And then during this pandemic, I think some people think the thinking will be affected. So I advise everyone during this period, so we have to stay strong. How to stay strong is personally, I do meditation and read more and more books and read some of the successful people biography and connect to religion. I say to your God, all these things you can say yourself, stay strong to yourself, and always stay positive. Try to stay away from those negative people. Like sometimes I heard somebody try to do a lot of complaint, nagging with each other and talk some of the negative thing. All these things doesn't really benefit to you. Why not talk to some of the positive people or log on to your Zoom every 3 p.m. on every day to listen to all our panelists, all our trainers to give us more positive thinking. And the last and the last one is the stay healthy. Eat healthy, do a lot of exercise, and then try to distress. Actually, this period, everyone is so stressful. Try to distress yourself. A lot of people using a lot of way to distress. Perhaps I think you can find out what is your hobby, like watching TV or listen to the very nice music to distress yourself. Okay, I hope everyone stay good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato. And then maybe we go to James and Terence. James, what's any final message to all our participants here today on your side?
Okay, I know most of you are estate agents, okay. You see, my sharing with you all is this, okay. The cake is big enough, okay. Act in a professional manner, work together, okay. You don't have to go and cut up each other. You don't have to go and chop and undercut, go and steal people's deal. When I was working in Australia, okay, when an agent approached the owner to sell, okay, exclusive agency is the norm. Maybe co-agency. Here I see certain property they got a World War III signboard. 10 agents space. The buyer call which one? Call one, after that call another, all the different things. So the issue that I want to leave with you all is that practice integrity, okay, number one. Don't undercut. We are here together with a purpose to make money. We don't have to undercut. And I've seen the way that the undercutting, all this cause stress to our health and so forth. What for? For me as a value, I face the issue whereby some other value can go higher value, cheaper fee and try to get the job. I say no. We should not be undercutting ourselves for this. Have integrity in this industry. The market is big enough, and have a positive outlook that in this market, in this pandemic, there is a rainbow. Remember the rainbow in the storm. It is always there. Okay, it's how you got to look for the rainbow. Okay, that is my take. Of course, I share many things about aging population, about this, about that. Okay, but the thing is that as a group of estate agencies working together, you all work together. Don't undercut each other. work together for the common good, work together, co-book, whatever thing, so that you all can, at the end of the day, your goal is to close the deal. The client happy, you're happy, rather than undercut each other. No point. Work
Thank you,
together.
James, for your message. Thank you, James, for your message. Really appreciate. I mean, before we go to Terence close, I mean, one thing. I mean, I think every profession. I mean, based on what James said, the fact that today is a collaboration between different agencies. You know, you are also competitors in some way, but you're coming together to collaborate. And based on what James said, I think it's very true. All professional, the real estate agent is a professional industry, right? Governed by the act, valuers, lawyers, etc. I think the undercutting thing, you know, has to stop because the pie is big enough, and you know, it must be collaborative. I totally, you know, respect that the fact that it's a collaboration here today, right? And then thank you, James, for your comments. Terence, what about you? Any last pointers or message for everybody out there?
We are talking to the practitioners, the agents, the negotiators here lah. So despite all the negative news outside, it's very important that everyone is to stay positive, all right? And more importantly is start to take action, all right, rather than just wait and see, because you will lose out a lot of opportunity out there, and the market is moving, all right? Just that if we don't take action, we don't see the results. And every small steps taken will lead you to somewhere. No steps taken will lead you to nowhere. One thing that is certain is that our reactions towards the message and the news that we receive, okay, our action is something that we can control. That is certain. All right, we take it positively, reacted it positively despite the negative outlook. All right, the results we see will be positive regardless lah. So stay positive and react accordingly, and the destiny will be certain lah if we react correctly and positively. That's my take.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. I would like to thank all the panelists. But before we go, right, I mean, the two books, I mean, I think we will try to give it to the Patu people where we took the questions from. One is iPad, second is Timothy L. Maybe you can contact Profier's side. I'll pass the books to Profier's side. Terence, if you collect it from them, from Terence, right? So before we leave, I would like to thank all the panelists, right, for their time, for their input. And I think we have elicited quite a lot of new thoughts today. We hope it helps everybody. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you everyone for your time and for all the participants as well. Wish you, you know, a good weekend ahead and stay safe and stay strong. Thank you everybody. And we hope to see you again. Thank you. Thank you everybody.
Very much, David.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, everybody.
for everyone that's attended here, thanks for making your time. Thanks for sacrificing your evening. I hope there's something for you all to learn here today. Most importantly, do leave some of your feedback for us. The feedback screen is at the front for you all to scan. And as Adrian mentioned, if you all are feeling down, stay tuned every 3 p.m. Tomorrow, we are moving towards the technical side of real estate. So our friend Derek from CBD will be sharing on how to use Canva. As you all know, this week, most of our sessions are more soft skills based. Next week, more of our sessions will be technical based, where we teach you all how to upskill through this pandemic. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And Mr. David, thank you so much for making your time for us. Dato Adrian, thank you. Aldrin, thank you very much. Terence and Mr.
Thank
James
you.
from Rain and Horn, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
everyone,
everybody,
stay
for
safe.
inviting me. Stay safe. Take care, everyone.
See
Have
you
a
all
good
at
Sunday.
3 p.m.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Jai. What? What you saw on Facebook Live?